What does it feel like to be a mom who has a child with ADHD? What are the thoughts that go through your head? What are the struggles that you face? And how are you wanting to move forward? So today I brought a special guest with me for this video. And just to introduce her, introduce me, just in case you are new to this, I am Ivan. I help parents raise ADHD kids. And I find joy in helping families move forward and be connected. And today I have my wife. This is Trish, and she's going to go through some of her experiences helping to raise our children and the struggles that we face together as a couple in helping these kids move forward, and some of the things that we have learned along the ways, and some of the thoughts that get into her head as a mom that can be overcome as you grow and learn. So I don't know, I think that we just jump into it.
Okay.
One thing that I want to say is that if these things resonate with you as we talk about them, reach out and connect. Follow the link below so that we can schedule time and just help you move forward. We have been down this path. It's been years and years and years. Our kids are teenagers and some of them are adults. We've got 5 kids, and you don't have to take as long as we did to figure this out.
Please don't take as long as we did.
You can fast track it, and that's what a parent coach is for. So we were talking before, and we brought up the subject of, okay, so what about ADHD and parenting, and what makes it so hard? And you gave me a couple comments of things that were in your head, and I just want to go over them. The first one is, if I can't control her, I am a bad parent. Do you just want to talk into that for just a minute?
Yeah, so I think some of that came in the home, but a lot of that was when we left the home, like especially at your parents' house. You go to the in-laws and you feel like you're being judged, and she's got behaviors and she's doing things, and I think, oh, I'm just such a bad parent because of the way she's acting.
Yeah. So if that resonates with you, number one, I want you to know that you are not a bad parent. You are a good parent. And the fact that you're watching this video and that you care about your child and you care about raising your child and you care about the opinions of what other people are thinking, those are signs of a good parent. The challenge is that you have ideas in your head. We get ideas as parents and we want those ideas to move forward and it makes sense to us. But then we have this child with ADHD and their brain is set up in such a different way. And it's like you are out there trying to mow the lawn with a big lawnmower, but it's just this tiny strip, and what you really need is this whole different tool. The lawnmower is not going to work. You need to come at it from a different direction. Our child's brains with ADHD are set up in a different way, and so really it's about learning new tools and then just realigning your own parenting and your parenting mindset to make a match. And when you do, things move forward. And some of those self-judgment and perceived judgment of, oh my goodness, I'm a bad parent, hey, my in-laws don't think that I'm doing things right and they're getting upset with me, actually go away because your child is responding and you're connected with your child. And those behaviors that seem to be getting in the way actually are calls for help and wanting to connect. And those actually will come back and resolve themselves. So there's great gains in being able to connect with your child, even when you're not at home, even at the in-laws. Okay, next one. I have no effect on my kids. Oh my goodness, what am I even doing? Were you talking to that?
Well, one particular day I can think of, I remember I was home alone with them, and they just would not, like, I said, hey, do this, and they're not doing it, and hey, do this, and they're not doing it. And I was just like, this is pointless. And I went and locked myself in my room, and for like 2 hours, like, the kids just did whatever they wanted.
Just to be clear, the house did not burn down. The police did not show up at the door.
I know, he's like, honey, what'd you do?
Everything's fine. Everything's fine.
No, I could hear them. They were playing, and matter of fact, they took all the pillows and cushions and threw them down the stairs, and they were jumping off the stairs, and I could hear what they were doing.
Yeah. Do you have days like that? I think most parents do have days like that where they're so overwhelmed. It's like, what am I even doing? I have no roadmap. I have no manual. What am I supposed to be doing? And I remember with our youngest that I had a moment of I was being a good dad. I thought I was being a good dad, and I was doing good dad stuff. And this disconnect was just was going on and on and on. And there was times where she would go into her room and lock herself in a room where I wanted to be just like I'm just going to go out to my wood shop because I don't know what to do. And what it really took was me changing myself and changing my own perspective. and thinking, hold on, I'm trying to be what I envision to be a good dad versus what is it that my child needs for me to be a good dad or a good mom.
Mm-hmm.
Connection to our children creates anchor points where they then respond, and the outlandish behavior, the not listening, the defiance melts away as you connect at a deeper level. And it's not about us, it's not about you, it's about your child. And when you learn how to connect the way that your child needs, that then bridges that gap. And this doesn't mean that you need to, and this is a common thing that I get with other parents I've worked with, that doesn't mean that you need to be spending every single waking moment with your child. That's not it. Because there's time and there's depth. And depth is going to have a greater effect than time does. And as that has shifted in myself, I have seen a greater response from my kids in being able to connect and move forward and being able to talk through things and understand and communicate, and all those things happen. What's your experience with that? How do you feel like that has progressed in you?
Sorry, rephrase the question.
The depth of connection
Okay. Yeah.
to our kids and how they respond to you.
Yeah. The time thing, like I'm a stay-at-home mom, so I'm there all the time, but just being there isn't necessarily enough. Like if you're just in survival mode, you're all doing your own thing different ways. It's really good. I especially like, one of the things I like about being a stay-at-home mom is the kids come to me on their time, because sometimes there's times when they feel like really talking or really opening up, or there's something they're really concerned about, but that's on their timeline. And so to be there and be available on their timeline is just wonderful. And some of the conversations we've had are really great.
Yeah. Okay. Being present and connecting. The next one, if kids follow my example, I must really suck because my kids are what? Okay. And again, these are words from my wife, but these resonate with so many other parents that I have been able to talk with and communicate with, that they're thinking, man, I must really suck as a parent because look at my kids. And if my kids are imitating me, Ivan, you talk about the fact that our kids mirror us. So what is this? I'm just terrible as a parent?
Yeah,
Thoughts?
yeah. So especially with Tori that has the ADHD and the anxiety, like she just reacts so big to everything, including things that seem so small. And I just think, wow, is that what I patterned for her? That when something's stressful, you just lose it and blow up. And yeah.
That's a really good example. And yes, she does react. Children with ADHD, and now granted, Tori is now an adult. She's grown up, but people with ADHD, they feel emotions in a different way. They feel it in a more intense way. Life is very intense, and they are not able to mute down some of those responses. Now, we talk about mirroring, and our children really do mirror. And in fact, couples, we mirror each other. Lots of people mirror off of the way that we just present ourselves, our internal energy. And that's the key, is it's how are we on the inside? I can wear a mask and I can be happy and I can look happy, but how am I on the inside? Am I overwhelmed? Am I stressed? Am I frustrated with life? And that then is mirrored in our children. Now, then we talk about, well, hold on, Ivan, does that mean that I suck? Because look at what my kid's doing. Okay, but remember, our children have ADHD, and their brains are processing this information differently. And even if your child does not have ADHD, there's still perception that goes into it. So they are going to respond to that in a different way, in their own way. And especially with ADHD, things are bigger, yeah, and responses are bigger. And so for us as parents, let's say that Trish is having, hey, you know what, this needs to get done. This, da, 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 da. You like to check stuff off boxes and get things done and like you have a plan. And that doesn't always work for Tori. Mm-hmm. And so for Tori to have that coming at her, she can get overwhelmed. She's not going to respond the same way that Trish does. And she's going to respond in her own way, which oftentimes is explosion, meltdown, the world's going to end, I'm going to shut down, I can't even get out of my bed, I'm like, I can't start doing this thing right now, my homework is overwhelming, oh my goodness, all my friends hate me, all that stuff coming from her ADHD brain. It still is mirroring off of us as parents, but how it presents itself is differently. So do you suck as a parent? No. It's still that realignment that we were talking about before. How can I align myself and actually shift my mindset and shift my approach to match what my child needs moving forward? And as we do that, we've seen greater success with Tori, and she's been able to move forward, and she's been able to do homework, and she's been able to feel comfortable with friends, and she's been able to, oh my goodness, she's getting a job right now. It's fantastic. And we can see this growth in her as we realign how we are parenting. And again, this invite to you, before we get done, this invite to you, if this is resonating with you, drop a chat in the comments. Click on the link. Let's schedule a time and just chat how you can move forward. Shrink up this learning time so that you can have success in your home starting right now without waiting and going through some of this frustration. Okay? Last point. You ready?
Yep.
Okay, last one. I never wanted to be the mom who spanks and yells.
Mm-hmm.
And this is Trisha's words. I'm going to say that too. I never wanted to be the dad who spanks and yells. And I remember we first got married and we had our first child before our first year anniversary. And I had assumptions in my head about what it means to be a dad and what a dad is supposed to do. And some of this was based on my own dad, and some of this is just based on society and what you see and what you think that you see. So when kids would misbehave, I would get upset, and sometimes I would spank them, and I would yell a lot, and I was doing all these things that shut the brain down. But speaking to your experience.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to, all I ever wanted to do is be a mom, and I thought I'd be this great mom, and then you have this kid that won't listen to you, and yeah, our oldest, is very defiant, does things her own way, and that's great now. But when she was little, it was really, really hard. Yeah, you feel like the yelling and the spanking is the only thing getting you the results that you want to see. But yeah, I wish I'd had the tools back then to know, oh, this would work better. And there were some things our parents gave us some suggestions, like when she wouldn't stop playing in the cat box, they built a sandbox and
sensory processing. Sensory processing, people. It's a real thing, and it's part of this whole coaching model. You need to understand the needs of our children's sensory systems and our own needs.
And one example I'd like to talk about with that is I remember our oldest, Danny, we were putting a puzzle together, and we were missing a piece. And I said, where's the piece? And she goes over the bookcase and just starts throwing books off the bookcase. And my first reaction is like, what are you doing? Stop that. And then I thought, okay, wait, let me see what she's doing. And the puzzle piece was behind the books. Like, she knew it was there. But it was like a lesson to me that, to trust her. She's not just acting out. There's a reason for this. Anyway, it was really interesting.
Yeah. I like what you said before about, I wish that I had the tools back then. And the number of parents that I talked to, grown parents, and their children are grown, and they said, Ivan, where were you 10 years ago, 15 years ago? I was in my own mix of parenting and trying to be a good parent, and I sucked. I was terrible. And I've grown and I've learned. And part of that is my experience as an occupational therapist. And part of that is my experience of growing as a person. And to be able to then turn and offer this to you, of that you can make progress and you can shrink up this learning time so that you are having success now. That overwhelm, yeah, we can move past that. That's not something that you need to live with. That feeling of, I'm a bad parent, no, that disconnect with your kids, my child has all these behaviors, you can move past that and have success by taking the time and the effort to invest in yourself. And that starts with, hey, you know what? Dropping a comment below and booking a call with me, following the link, and you can move forward. Is there anything else that you want to say to him?
Oh, you put me on the spot.
You've been on the spot this whole time.
Yeah, just the feeling overwhelmed and feeling, you're raising a human being, for crying out loud, and everybody's different. And I think it's extremely normal to be overwhelmed, but having tools makes all the difference, both for you and for your kid, because you're able to give tools to your child on how they can better deal with the stresses and the challenges that they face. And it helps both of you.
I'm going to make a comment on the word tools, because the way that we talk about tools and the way that you talk about tools might be a little different. And this goes back into my coaching model of how I help families move forward. Most of the time we think about tools like, okay, my child is upset, so I'm going to use this strategy. And this is going to resolve the upset. And that's not the tool. That's what we think of as a tool. But really, it's, if we pull away from those strategies, before we even get there, we have our parenting approach. How are we using ourselves, being a parent, to be able to put those tools in place? And before we even get to that point, we need to dial back even farther into ourselves. And we look at, well, how was I raised? And what is my perspective and what do I understand about myself and my own mindset, because that deeper level, that is what's being mirrored out. And until we really resolve that and work on ourselves first, those tools, they work for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It doesn't work anymore because we haven't really gone back. I like to use the analogy of a house, that we can build a house, we can frame it up. That's the parenting approach. We can put on the sidings, the windows and doors. Those are the tools, but none of that matters unless we have a good foundation. And until we have a good foundation, until you have a good foundation as a parent, none of this stuff is really going to shift and move forward. That is the biggest piece and the biggest benefit of having parent coaching and being able to move forward. Yes, you can have success in learning and knowing that, hey, yeah, okay, so my child with ADHD, yeah, brain set up differently. Yeah, I can read books about it. I can watch videos. I can use all these strategies, tools. They really don't do a lot, especially in the long term, until you look at yourself. And that's the same for actually going into therapy. And as a therapist, I know this. I've worked with kids week after week after week after week, and it is slow progression sometimes, really slow. The greatest progression, working with the parents, working with you, changing you from the inside, and everything else falls into place. And it's amazing. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Like my channel, share it with your friends, reach out to me. You're fantastic.